everyone, Matt Morris here. Welcome to the Ultimate Objection Handling Masterclass. I am about to deliver for you what I believe is going to be the single best objection handling training you have ever received. I can say that with a pretty good amount of confidence because, listen, I have been at it now for about 25 years. I've personally closed thousands of people into network marketing and have pretty much been through every objection that you could possibly imagine. I'm going to be covering today all of the primary objections, even the secondary objections that come up. And I'm going to equip you with a level of knowledge that will put you in the top 1% compared to everyone else in network marketing. And listen, you probably know this already, but it's kind of a sad statistic that 95% plus of people who get involved in network marketing, they never earn a full-time income. And listen, one of the reasons why they never earn a full-time income is they never actually took the time to learn the skills to become a professional. And one of those is overcoming objections. It's a subset of skill number 4. There are 7 key skills that you must master if you want to get to a full-time income, if you want to become a top earner. I'm going to go through a little bit later in the webinar. I'm going to teach you what those 7 skills are. Today, we're going to be focused on a subset of closing objection handling, and I am going to give you mastery of that. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here so you guys can all see that. Let me pop up. So let's get into some of the meat of the content here. And basically, I want to start off with the fundamentals. And you know, it's really, in anything I train, I want to give you the fundamentals and kind of the mindset, because I firmly believe if you just teach someone the tactics, the script, if you don't understand what's behind the script, the mindset behind it, you're going to be ill-equipped to really lead with power. And so I want you to lead with power and authority and certainty. And so I want to give you some of these fundamentals. So number 1, get excited when an objection comes up. I used to be so afraid of the closing process. I hated to close, and I was really bad at it. And I'll tell you one of the reasons why I became ridiculously good and became able to close anyone who's closable. Obviously, no one can close everyone, but you want to get to the point where you can close anyone who's closable. I got good because I made it a game. I got excited about it. It became fun for me. And so realize the closing process is a game. Have fun with it. One of the reasons that will allow you, ways that will allow you to have fun with it, is to have no emotional attachment to the outcome. Listen, not everyone is going to say yes. Some people are going to say no. It's okay when people say no. And if you have an emotional attachment to someone saying yes, essentially you're being needy. And I will tell you, your prospect can sense neediness like a dog smells fear. And so you want to get rid of the emotional attachment, realize some will, some won't. So what? Someone is waiting, and obviously you don't want to be a beggar. You want to have posture, you want to have swagger. And so I'm going to teach you a specific formula to allow you to have an incredible amount of posture. Now, realize this is an important distinction. The reason they give you for not enrolling, whatever objection they give you, is usually not the real reason, okay? I'll be talking about what the real reason is as we get into this. Next, speak to them as if they're already enrolled. This is a concept called future pacing. It is incredibly powerful. And so I'm going to be teaching you future pacing in the masterclass here. So next concept is close early and close often. Now, in my closing training, I talk about the psychology of why you want to close early, meaning as soon as the presentation is over, you want to ask for the business. You want to ask for the sale. There is a specific psychological reason for that that is super important. Next thing is close often. What that means is when they give you an objection, you want to answer the objection, overcome it, and then ask again. That's what I mean by close often. We're going to be talking about closing often in the masterclass here. Next is you want to be their coach and assume the role as a mentor. Part of my power happened when I decided to assume the role of a coach. And if you look at the root word of coach, what does it mean to be a coach? Well, the word coach, if you go back to 100 years ago plus, a coach was a horse-drawn buggy basically that took people from where they are to where they want to be. Your job as a coach is to take someone from where they are to where they want to be. And so you assume the role as a mentor. A lot of the objection handling that I'm going to be giving you today is you assuming that role and assuming it. So, and this is a major concept. I really want you to get this. Them enrolling in your business is not the prize for you. The biggest prize is the fact that they get to work with you. So realize the prize isn't for you when they enroll in your organization. The prize is what? The prize is they get to work with you. So here's what I know is true. If someone will join my organization, what I know is true is that I can change their life forever. Make sure we're recording properly here. I know I can change their life forever if they say yes, if they join, if they're coachable and teachable, I can change their life dramatically. Okay, I'm going to hit the top rank in the company regardless of whether they join or not. My life doesn't change when they enroll. I'm going to hit the top anyway. Their life stays the same if they don't enroll. So that's a level of posture that you want to have for yourself. Next, their objection is often the biggest reason why they should join. Okay, so if they don't have the time and that's genuine, that's why they need to do this. If they don't have the money, that's probably the biggest reason why they need to do this. In fact, I got this concept when I was homeless. I was 21 years old. I was living out of my car. I was sitting in a McDonald's booth reading a book. I didn't have a home. I lived out of my car, so I would go to McDonald's or fast food restaurants and I'd just sit there and read all day. And I saw this guy, he walked in, he was selling perfume, and there were these two girls that were sitting next to me, at the table next to me. He walks by me and he goes and he starts asking the girls what kind of perfume they like. And she says, I don't know what it was, Chanel, right? And he says, oh, great, because I have, it was like a knockoff, right? And I have Chanel, and he starts presenting, has her smell it, and she's like, yeah, it smells just like it. And he says it's $35. She says, oh, I don't have the money. And he says, that's exactly why you should buy this, because this is a concentrated version. You get way more. It's going to save you. Like normally, he's like, a bottle of Chanel is $80. This one's $30, but it'll last you 3 times longer. So in essence, you're saving, I don't know, $100 and something when you spend $35. And she bought. And I just remember being blown away thinking, man, the reason why she said, I don't have the money, he said, that's exactly why you need to do it. He closed the sale. And I just remember thinking, man, that's powerful. And so realize often the objection is the reason why they should actually do it and get started. So I'm going to give you a 3-step framework. Now, this is, when I learned this many, many years ago, it changed the game for me from an objection handling standpoint, because what happens is you want to have power, you want to have posture, but traditional objection handling training is as soon as they give you an objection, you immediately get into sales mode. So they say, I don't have the money. You immediately go into, well, that's why you need to do this. Okay. And that's you selling. So what the 3-step framework does is it allows you to, yes, still overcome the objection, but put yourself in the role of the authority. And so step number 1 is you want to validate the objection. So when someone says, I don't have the money, I don't have the time, I got to think about it, whatever the objection may be, this works for most objections, then you're going to say, you're going to validate it, then you're going to confirm desire, and then you're going to coach and close them. Then you're going to overcome the objection after you have gone through steps number 1 and 2. So it works kind of like this. So someone says, man, this is great, but I don't have the money. So you want to validate. You said, hey, listen, I hear what you're saying, but tell me this, John, is it really that you don't have the money, or is that just a polite way of saying no? Because listen, I'm totally cool either way. I just want to help you. And if you're watching the video here, realize I put my hand up like this because I'm totally cool either way. I just want to help you. Okay. So what you're doing is you're validating the objection. And in many cases, someone might say, I got to think about it, or I got to talk to my spouse, or I don't have the time. They're giving you that objection because they just don't want to say no. Maybe they didn't really like it. And so I want to know, is that objection real? Okay, so I validate the objection. Is that really the case, or is that just a polite way of saying no? Because listen, dude, I'm cool either way. I just want to help you. Okay, they say, no, really, I don't have the money. Really, I don't have the time. And then you're going to confirm the desire. Okay, so they say, yeah, I really don't have the money. So I'm going to ask, well, do you want to do this? If you had the money, do you want to do it? They say yes. I typically do it twice. I say, are you sure? And they say yes. So if they say I don't have the time, I say, well, do you want to do this? Yes. Are you sure? Yes. Now, who is selling who? I'm clearly not selling them because they're selling me that they want to do it. They've told me twice that they want to do it. Now that they've sold me that they actually want to do it, but they have this thing that's holding them back, now I'm going to coach and close them. Now I'm going to overcome the objection. I cannot tell you the level of power and authority that this gives you as a leader in order to get people started. Now realize, and this is kind of going into closing, I'm not going to get into closing psychology a whole lot, but realize the reason why people get started with you in many cases is because they see you as a leader. They see you as strong. And if you present yourself as weak, they're less likely to join. If you present yourself as strong, they're way more likely to get started. And this does this in a magical way. So let's talk about 9 different ways to overcome I don't have the money. So first way is the 3-step framework. Now, they say I don't have the money. I'm going to say it again just so it locks into your memory. I'm going to say some of these over and over and over because I want you to know them like you know the back of your hand. Okay? So I don't have the money. Hey, listen, I hear you, but be honest with me, Susie. Is it really that you don't have the money, or is that just a polite way of saying no? Because listen, I'm totally cool either way. I just want to help you. Really, Matt, I don't have the money. Cool. Well, do you want to do this? Yes. Are you sure? Yes. Okay, awesome. Now I'm going to coach and close her. And I'm going to give you some of the ways here that you can coach and close. So another way that you can overcome this. Now, some people are not going to be comfortable going through this 3-step process, something that I've trained on for years. It is very old school. One of the reasons why it's been taught for 100 years in overcoming objections is because it actually works and it's simple for people to do. So if you didn't have the money when you got started with your company, you can use this. Hey, I know how you feel. I felt the exact same way. I was in the same situation, but here's what I realized. I always say realize versus what I found out. What I realized is the biggest reason why I needed to do this was because I didn't have the money, because I didn't want to be stuck a year or two from now still not having the money. So feel, felt, found, you can use that for most objections. Number 3 is you can tell someone else's story. So it might not be authentic for you to say, hey, I know how you feel. I didn't have the money either. So you tell someone else's story. You know what, man, that reminds me of my friend, John. John didn't have the money either, but he realized that if he didn't come up with the money, he'd be stuck forever not having the money. So he looked around his house for things that weren't making him any money. He had a big screen TV. He went and sold the big screen TV on Facebook Marketplace, and he came up with the money, and now he's earning a full-time income in our company. And, you know, he's amazingly glad that he did that, obviously, because now he can buy as many TVs as he wants. And so let me ask you, what do you have laying around your house that's not making you any money? Okay, if they're serious about changing their financial future, they're going to do whatever it takes to get started. Okay, so that's an example of telling someone else's story. Number 4, this is because closing is a game for me. I love this. Now, it takes some swagger to be able to pull this off. You need to have rapport with someone. You need to have earned the right to use number 4, but I'm telling you, it's crazy powerful. Now, if I've gone through a presentation and I've built some rapport with someone and I know I'm in rapport with them, I will do something like this. And so I might use the 3-step framework first. So they say, I don't have the money. And I say, listen, Pete, is it really that you don't have the money? Be honest with me. Or is that just a polite way of saying no? Because, man, I'm totally cool either way. I just want to help you. He says, no, man, I don't have the money. I say, awesome. Well, do you want to do this? Yes. Are you sure? Yes. And I'm going to say, awesome. Listen, who do you love the most? Maybe your mom, your grandma. Who do you love the most? And he says, my wife. And I say, awesome. It works even better if the wife is there in person. I say, let me give you a hypothetical situation. Let's say your wife got pulled over and there was a case of mistaken identity and they arrested her. And she calls you from jail and says, hey, Pete, listen, I'm in jail right now and it's $1,000 to bail me out. Can you come get me? Let me ask you, are you bailing your wife out? Or are you going to let her spend the night in jail with a bunch of crack whores? And I wait for an answer. And you know what he says every single time? He says, I'd bail her out. And I said, awesome. So here's the reality. I know you have the money. It's just a matter of you coming up with it. And my suggestion to you, my coaching to you is come up with the money tonight so you're not still in a situation a year from now where you don't have the money. Because if you don't have $1,000, you don't have $500, whatever it costs to join your opportunity, then you're essentially in financial prison. Wouldn't you agree? And literally, I've done this so many times, people's heads will go back like I just punched them. And I'm saying it out of love. See, the reason why I want him to get started is because I know it can change his life. And my job is to be a coach to take him from where he is to where he wants to be. And sometimes I need to be powerful in doing that. I've closed a lot of people. In fact, I had someone come up to me at an event that I was speaking at. A young man came up to me and he says, hey, I don't know if you remember me, but you asked me who I love the most, and you asked me if my mom was in jail, if I'd bail her out, and then you told me I was basically in financial prison. He goes, dude, I felt like you punched me right in the face, but it got me to wake up. I came up with the money. I went, and he had already personally enrolled 4 people in about a 2-week time frame. And he wouldn't have probably joined had I not really been upfront with him about that. So that's who do you love the most close. Could you for a Ferrari? So I might go through the 3-step framework and I'd say, listen, if I could sell you a Ferrari for $500, but you had to come up with the money in 24 hours, would you buy the $100,000 Ferrari? And they say yes. And I'm going to say, awesome. So listen, I know you can come up with the money. So the question is, how are you going to come up with the money in the next 24 hours? The next one is where we are in life. And so here's how the where we are in life close works. And a lot of times I'm giving you these because you may be a presenter. If you're not a presenter in front of a room, you may be. Assume that you're going to be a presenter in front of the room or on a webinar and things like that. Some of these I'll do in my presentation to overcome the objection before it even comes up. So I'll say, listen, here's the situation. If you don't have the money, the reason why you don't have the money, it's because where we are in life right now is based on the decisions or lack of decisions that we made 1 to 2 years ago. The reason why we are where we are today is based on the actions we took or didn't take a year ago. Where we're going to be a year or 2 from now is based on the actions or lack of actions that we take today. Or you can say decisions or lack of decisions that we take today. And so my coaching to you is make a decision to take action so that a year or 2 years from now, you're still not in a position of having to say, I don't have the money. And if you lock arms with me, if you're coachable and teachable, I'll help you get into a situation where you never have to say, I don't have $500 ever again. Sound good? Awesome. How are you going to come up with the money? Okay. And then I'm going to hold them to it. Okay. Number 7 is what's more powerful. Okay. It works like this. Maybe I do the 3-step framework and afterwards I say, listen, let me ask you a question. What's more powerful? Is it your lack of $500 or you? Are you more powerful than a lack of $500? Are you powerful enough to come up with the money? Are you powerful enough to come up with the money? If someone says no to that, that's probably not someone that you want to work with. Next, that's why I'm showing you this. So they say, I don't have the money. I say, listen, I get it. That's why I'm showing you this. Because with who you are as a person, with your level of motivation, your drive, as good as you are with people, you should not be in a situation where you don't have $500. So I'm showing you this so I can help you get out of this situation. And listen, you lock arms with me and we'll go crush this. Next, future pacing. This can be very powerful. Now, when they say, I don't have the money, I may validate it, I may confirm desire, and then I'm gonna say, listen, I'll be honest with you, I'm glad that you don't have the money right now. Because what's gonna happen is when you get started, you're gonna show this business to other people, and they're gonna have the exact same objection. They're gonna say, you know what, John, I don't have the money. And you're gonna be able to say, you know what, I didn't either. But I realized that the reason why I didn't have the money is because I hadn't taken the right actions. And I realized that was the biggest reason why I needed to get started. So I came up with the money. 12 hours later, I got started. Now I'm earning a full-time income. I'm helping other people become financially free. I mean, my dreams are becoming a reality because I made the decision to come up with the money. And so, John, I believe that's what's going to happen for you. My only question for you is, are you powerful enough to come up with the money in the next 24 hours? Okay. So notice in some cases, I'm using multiple of these closes in order to get someone started. So these I have found are the most powerful ways to overcome I don't have the money. I could give you 10 others, but I don't want to give you a bunch of stuff that, you know, is watered down or a lot less powerful. These are the most powerful ways. 8 ways to overcome I don't have the time. Number 1, 3-step framework. I don't have to go through that again. You don't have the time. Hey, is that real? Is that a polite way of saying no? Number 2, feel, felt, found. Hey, I know how you feel. I felt the same way, but here's what I realized is that if I didn't overcome this, if I didn't make some time, I'd be on the hamster wheel forever. Number 3, tell someone's story. Now listen, I have about 10 different stories in my mind prepared for objections that come up. So if someone says, I don't have the time, and they're in the medical profession, I'm going to immediately tell my friend David's story. Hey, listen, dude, I get it. My friend David, he was in the exact same situation. He didn't have any time either. In fact, he was a chiropractor. He was running a very successful clinic. He was making several $100,000 a year, but he realized if he wasn't cracking backs, he wasn't making any money. And if he ever wanted the possibility of having a retirement style income, he needed to do something different to create some leverage, to create residual income. So he got started with us. He hit the top rank in our company in 10 months, kept his chiropractic clinic for the next 2 years. He had double income coming in before he finally sold that and basically went into retirement mode. So my question to you is, do you have the same desire that David did? Okay. Now notice I overcome it by telling a story, and then I ask them if they're ready to get started. Okay. Next one is the daily method of operation close, the DMO close. So they say, I don't have the time. And you could say, well, listen, how much time do you think it takes? And in many cases, they're going to say something like 20 hours a week. And it doesn't take 20 hours a week. So they say something like, I don't know, 20 hours a week, 15 hours a week. Sometimes they're saying, I don't have the time because they just don't want to do it. That's why I'll do the 3-step framework. okay? Or they're saying that just because they kind of want to procrastinate a little bit. So I do the daily method of operation close, and I say, how much time do you think it takes? Well, I don't know, 20 hours a week, 15 hours a week. I go, dude, I mean, even a lot of the people who are full-time in our company, they're not working 20 hours a week. The reality is we're all busy. What this is about is buying back your time. It's about referring a few people who refer a few who refer a few. If you could put 2 to 3 hours of committed time, which I know you have, I know you got an extra 2 to 3 hours a week, then you can start to get some people on your team and you'll start earning income based on the efforts of not just yourself, but based on the efforts of many. Okay, and then go into the close. So that's the daily method of operation close. You can go through where we are in life. Hey, man, I get that you don't have the time. I mean, a lot of people don't have the time. We're all super busy. But the reason why we are where we are in our life is based on the decisions or lack of decisions that we made 2 to 3 years ago, and where we're going to be 2 to 3 years from now is based on the decisions or lack of decisions that we make today. Okay. Number 6 is I call bullshit. Now, again, you need a lot of rapport with this, and I've used this a bunch of times. First time it ever happened, I was actually in Kenya. I was doing a presentation. There was about 1,000 guests, jam-packed, super hot. And this place where we were doing, it was a church actually. I go through the presentation. I went way longer than I normally do. Normally my presentation is about 45 minutes. That night I went about an hour and a half because I did kind of a personal development thing in addition to it. And then I called up success stories, and the success stories all went very long. So the whole thing was about 2 hours long. Okay. And then we broke. So I'm doing pictures and signing my book. And finally, I leave the room to go get some air. And so I walk out of the room. I'm out in the courtyard area, and one of our members comes and says, hey, my prospect is on the fence. Could you come talk to her? And so I said, sure. So I go over. There's a group of three women. And I just smiled at the prospect and I said, listen, I hear you're on the fence. What's holding you back? And with a big smile, and realized I had spent an hour and a half telling my story, building rapport with the crowd. So I had earned the right to do this. Okay. And so she says, well, I really just don't have the time. And I smiled at her real big and I said, listen, I call BS on that. I didn't say bullshit. I said, I call BS on that. You just spent 2 hours with me in the presentation and you're hanging out here. I know you have at least a couple hours a week to put into the business. So listen, let's just get you started. And she just smiled at me and she goes, you're right. She signed up on the spot. So you can call BS on people if you have earned the right to do so. Here's one that I do not use personally. I have seen this be effective with people in my organization is I don't need your time. You know 100 people that I don't know. Introduce them to me and I'm going to win you over with paychecks. Win you over with paychecks. And so this is basically if you've got a lot of time and you're showing it to someone who maybe they're a doctor, maybe they're a chiropractor, maybe they're a busy executive, and they don't have a lot of time, they know 100 people that you don't know. And so if they'll introduce you to those people, then you can go present on their behalf. Now, personally, I don't like doing that because I want people to actually put the effort in. But if I were hungry for leads and I had the time and I had someone who was a powerful person who had credibility with a lot of other people, this is one that you can certainly use. Okay, I'll win you over with paychecks. Number 8, that's why I'm showing you this. Hey, I get you don't have time. I mean, I know you want to spend way more time with your family. I know you want to spend more time with your kids. And the reality is, if you continue working the way you've been working, you're never going to have any time. See, this is about creating leverage and residual income that builds up over time so that you can eventually fire your boss and live life on your terms. And with your capabilities and your skill, I know you can do this. If you lock arms with me, if you're coachable and teachable, I will not let you fail. Okay, those words that I just gave you are incredibly powerful. Okay, next, how overcoming, I have to think about it. How do we do that? Well, some of these are familiar. 3-step framework, feel, felt, found. Number 3, this is a big one. when someone says I have to think about it, I'm just going to look at them and I'm going to say, listen, tell me what's really holding you back. Because I know you're not procrastinating just for the sake of procrastinating. What's holding you back? And I want what's real. Okay. In some cases, what's going to come up is they don't believe they can do it. In some cases, they're going to say, you know what? I'm afraid of rejection, whatever it may be. But I want to get to what's really holding them back. So I ask them. And so then I'll go through some of the others, okay? Where we are in life. And you know what? The reason why many people are where they are in life and don't have the success that they want is because they procrastinate just for the sake of procrastinating. And I don't want that to be the case for you. Number 5 is the Ben Franklin close. This is old school. This is where, you break out a sheet of paper and you write down all the positive reasons for doing it and all the negatives against doing it. Now, I don't personally break out a pen and draw a line down the middle and all that. I'll just ask them. I'm going to say, hey, listen, what do you think good can happen in your life from getting started with me? And I'll have them start telling me what good could happen. Well, I start earning some additional income. I say, awesome. What else can happen? By hanging out with our training and our system, I could meet new friends. What else good could happen? And I get them and I'll kind of help them along. And I say, listen, what are the negative things that can happen by you getting started? And there's usually not. Like, what's the worst thing that's going to happen? Okay. Another thing that I'll ask them is, what does your gut instinct tell you? Now, I'll ask them if they've shown positive signs. They want to do it. I know there's something holding them back. And what's usually holding them back is fear or belief. They're afraid of rejection, or they just don't believe that they can do it. Okay. So what I'm going to say, if someone says they don't believe they can do it, what I'm going to say is, well, what makes you think you can't? I want them to sell me on why they could not do it. And then once they tell me something, I'm going to say, well, what makes you think you can? And they'll say, I'm good with people. What else? What else? What else? What else? And I get them to tell me why they think they could. And I say, listen, I agree with you. I know you can do this. Okay, it's one of the things I said in the beginning is you want to believe in people more than they believe in themselves. In many cases, people have never had anyone that is their champion. No one's ever said to them, you've got what it takes to be hugely successful. And if you're coachable and teachable, I'm going to help you get there. Okay. Number 7, what's your biggest risk? So, they're him-hawing about it. I say, listen, let me be real with you. Be real with me. What's your biggest risk in doing this? If you say yes tonight, what's your biggest risk? And really, it's the money. It's the $500. Okay. And what I'll say is, your risk is not the $500. Your risk is the life you could have had if you weren't afraid of getting started. So my coaching to you is realize there's really no risk at all. The risk is not doing this. I think that's a bigger risk of doing it. Would you agree? Yeah? Awesome. Let's get you started. And put out your hand. Put out your hand to shake their hand. When you close again, after you've overcome the objection, put out your hand. And that is one of the most powerful closes, is the handshake close. Number 8 is the Mark Twain close. 20 years from now, you know what Mark Twain said? He said, 20 years from now, you'll regret more the things you didn't do than the things that you did do. And if you look back over the course of your life, over the last 10, 15, 20 years, what do you regret most? Is it the things that you did, or is it things that you never had the courage to try? And if they're real with you, they'll say, it's the things I never had the courage to try. Now, again, I'll do some of these in front of the room in my presentation before they ever come up. I'll do a bunch of these. 5 ways to overcome. I've got to talk to my spouse. This is one of the most difficult objections, and I'm going to give you something that works better than anything I have ever seen. Number 1, 3-step framework. Hey, is that really the case? Or are you just trying to get out of here? What's really going on? No, we have an agreement that if we're going to spend more than X amount of money, we'll talk to each other first, or something like that, right? Okay. If it's someone who is kind of like a dominant personality, then I'll say, you don't think they'll give you permission? I've had people literally who I've said that and I'm kind of joking. I say, you don't think she'll give you permission? You don't think he'll give you permission? And they say, give me that application. And then they just sign up. Okay. Number three, this is the thing that I think works the best. Okay. Once I verify it's a real objection, I'm going to say, listen, you said you want to do this. Here's the way this works. Okay. We have two options. Now, if you don't do one of these two, it's not going to work, because what happens is you saw all the information. You're educated on what we have. If you go home and talk to your spouse and try and educate them on your own, and you don't know everything about our business, they're going to prejudge it. They're going to probably say, no, we're not doing that. So I know you want to do this, and there's one of two ways. Number one is we go show them together right now. Okay, I'll come over to your house and we'll present it. That way they get to see everything. Or number two is go ahead and sign up. Go ahead and get started. The company offers a money-back guarantee. If you go home and you tell your husband, you tell your wife that you signed up in something and you're really excited about it and you see a way to achieve your goals and dreams, and if they blow up and it creates an issue, we call the company tomorrow and they give you your money back. Okay, so you have nothing to risk and everything to gain by going ahead and getting started now. Let's get you started, okay? Okay, so that's the way, because you're just being real with them, and usually they don't want you coming over to their house, so they're almost never going to choose option number one. Option number two, hey, they can always get out of it. Now, if you're doing paper applications, that used to be really, really popular. What I had done in the past is, hey, fill out the application, go ahead and tell your wife that you got started. And if she blows up, you call me and I'll shred your application. I'll never even put you into the system. So that I found is probably the most powerful way. Number four is the product as a gift. So do this as a gift for her. Do this as a gift for him. If you're selling nutritional products, you got it for them. If you're selling travel related products, whatever it may be, present it as if you got them a gift. Okay, number five, you can tell someone else's story. If someone else had that objection, but went ahead and did it anyway, and now they create huge success, and now their husband or wife is their biggest champion, you can tell that story as well. Next, I'm not a salesperson. Number one is, this is my favorite. When someone says, well, I'm not a salesperson, I'm going to say, good. Do you promise me you're not a salesperson? And they say yes. I'm going to say awesome, because if you are a salesperson, there's a good chance you'll fail at this, because here's the case. And please listen to the words here. I'll have it in the PDF download at the end, but this is super important. 95% of the people in the world don't like to sell. There's only about 5% of the population who actually like selling. So realize 95% of the people that you would show this to don't like to sell. And the fact that you're not a salesperson, they're way more likely to join, because they see that you don't have to be a salesperson to do this. In fact, this is way more of a sorting business than it is a selling business. You're just showing people what we have and allowing them to make a decision. And here's what I know is true about you. You're never going to be pushy with anyone. And so people are going to love that and respect you for it. And you'll actually create a stronger connection with your friends by showing them this and offering them an opportunity to change their life. So what do you say we get you started? Okay. Number two, this is, some people are like, no, you are a salesperson. This is a little bit more combative. What makes you so sure of that? Are you sure? I think you are a salesperson. And they say, no, I'm not. Well, why aren't you? And they start telling you. And as they tell you all the reasons they're not a salesperson, you say, you know what? You sold me. I think you are a salesperson. So that's one strategy. Number three, feel, felt, found. You know what? I know how you feel, because that was exactly what was going on in my head when I saw it. But here's what I found out. What I discovered is you don't have to be a salesperson. It's just sharing the concept. And people like it or they don't like it. And if they don't like it, then you part as friends. Okay. Number four, tell a story. hey, you know what? You remind me exactly of our number one income earner. Our number one income earner in the company is not a salesperson or a top leader or whoever it is. So know the stories of the top leaders in your company, because you can use their stories to help you close more sales. 8 ways to overcome. I've failed in network marketing before. I'm going to give you my favorite first is you didn't do it with me. So they say, you know what? I tried network marketing years ago and it didn't work. And I'm just going to look at them straight in the eye and I'm going to say, listen, you didn't do it with me. You lock arms with me. If you're coachable and teachable, I will not let you fail. Okay? So this is one where you're displaying confidence. And then what I'm usually doing in something like this is I'm telling them they can do it. Here's what I know is true about you. You're ambitious. You know a lot of people. You want out of your current situation. I know that if you lock arms with me and you're coachable and teachable, I know you can do this. And if you lock arms, I will not let you fail. Let's get you enrolled. Okay? In many cases, they're like, okay, let's do it. Okay? Number 2 is future pacing. Okay? Listen, I'm glad that you failed before, because heck, I think it's like half the population has done network marketing and a lot of people didn't succeed. And so you're going to be able to say, you know what? That's exactly what I felt like when I got started. I had failed before doing this, but I realized that this product is so powerful. Our system is so powerful. I plugged in anyway. And now I've got a team that's growing like crazy. I'm making money every single week. I'm super thankful that I did. And listen, I'm going to help you overcome that the same way that I overcame it with myself. Let's get you started. Okay, so it's telling them, I'm glad you have the objection. You put them in the future as if they're already started and other people are giving them that objection that they're overcoming. Number 3, me too. You know what? I actually failed in about 3 network marketing companies, but thank God I didn't give up, because with this, I'm actually succeeding. Those other companies, it was just very hard. Here, I mean, I'm not telling you it's easy, but it's so simple. I've got a bunch of customers. I've got this going on, okay? So if you have a story that you can relate, that's a powerful one that you can tell. Number 4 is just be real with them. You might fail here too. You know what? You might not succeed at this either. But what are you going to regret more? Are you going to regret trying again? Or are you going to regret not having the courage to try? And just pause and wait for an answer, okay? I'm going to give you a statistic. This is powerful. It takes the average person 4 to 8 seconds to make a decision to spend several $100s. 4 to 8 seconds. It doesn't sound like that's very long, but the average salesperson will not allow more than 2 to 3 seconds of silence before they interrupt. So when you ask them to get started again, wait and let them make the decision. Number 5, what's your biggest risk? Hey, what do you think your biggest risk of doing this is? If you do this again, what's your risk? Your risk isn't that you fail again. Your risk is the life that you could have had if you weren't afraid of failing. So my coaching to you is, let's get you started. If you lock arms with me, if you're coachable and teachable, I'll help you succeed. And you put out your hand to shake their hand. Powerful close. Number 6, hey, you know what? All network marketing companies are different. All systems are different. I mean, have you ever gone out to a restaurant and had a bad meal? Yeah. Awesome. Well, did you stop going out to restaurants because you had a bad meal one time? No. So listen, with our products, with our compensation plan, with our whatever it is, I mean, hopefully you can see that this is so much better than anything that you had ever done in the past. You lock arms with me. If you're coachable and teachable, I'll help you succeed. Sound good? Number 7, did you ever date someone that you didn't marry? Okay, it's giving them an analogy that they can relate to. Hey, let me ask you this. Did you ever date anyone that you didn't marry? Yeah, awesome. Well, you're happily married now. I mean, thank goodness you didn't date that one person. It didn't work out. And you said, well, relationships aren't for me. You know, one of the things I used to say years ago, I said, you know what? I failed in a bunch of network marketing companies. In some cases, it's like drilling for oil. Sometimes you hit a dry hole. Sometimes you hit a gusher. Obviously, it's based on your work ethic. But many of the companies I had joined before, they didn't have our products, they didn't have our services, they didn't have our marketing system. And because I said yes to this, I hit a gusher. Number 8 is the Tom Watson close. Now, this is kind of a coaching. Now, Tom Watson, he was the founder of IBM. He said, listen, if you want to greatly increase your chance of success, you need to double your rate of failure. And so you can't be afraid of failing if you want to succeed, because the fact that you've failed in the past and you're going to try again, you're way more likely to succeed. So my coaching is lock arms with me. Let's get started. And if you're serious about this, I'll help you succeed. Now, 4 ways to overcome it's a pyramid. First thing I'm going to say about overcoming the it's a pyramid objection is don't get combative. So in many cases, people don't know network marketing. Their word for network marketing is pyramid. And so when you get combative, they weren't thinking anything overly negative. That's just their word for it. Okay. So when they say presentation's over, whatever, and they say it's like a pyramid, in fact, sometimes this will come up in the invitation process, and they say, is it a pyramid? You say, well, what do you mean by that? Or you say, what's a pyramid? My favorite is, what's a pyramid? And they say, oh, it's where, you know, the person at the top makes all the money, and people invest money and all this. And then I just say, no, listen, it's nothing like that. No, it's nothing like that. Okay. So what do you mean by that? Or what's a pyramid? Just ask them what a pyramid is, have them explain it to you. They're usually going to explain something illegal, and you say, no, that sounds illegal. This is nothing like that. Number 2, of course not, pyramids are illegal. Is this like a pyramid? Of course not, pyramids are illegal. You don't think I'd do something illegal, do you? Awesome, let's get you started. Okay, next is the Warren Buffett close. And so they say something like pyramid, and they're negative about it. And you can tell they got like a tinge of negativity. You can say, listen, do you think Warren Buffett's a pretty smart guy? Would you consider Warren Buffett to be a pretty smart guy? And if they're honest, they're gonna say yes. And I say, awesome, listen, Warren Buffett actually owns multiple network marketing companies. Within his portfolio, he's owned network marketing companies. He's been quoted as saying it's one of the best investments he's ever made. So I figure if it's good enough for Warren Buffett, it's good enough for me, and it's good enough for you. Would you agree? Next, feel, felt, found. Hey, I know how you feel. I felt the same way. It was like a little weird. Like, I don't know if I want to be involved in something like this. But what I realized is it's a massive profession. Most people in this day and age understand that it's a very legitimate form of business. There's books written about it. There's college courses on it. And it's really the wave of the future. And so you're just educating them. Next, I don't like making money off of other people. This is not a common one that comes up, but obviously feel, felt, found. And then just kind of relate to it. Without being combative, you say, you know what? That's really how business works. I mean, your boss wouldn't pay you unless you made her money, right? I mean, in the employment world, people pay money for their employees because their employees make them more money than what the expense is. That's why they have employees, okay? Number 3 is, if they say, I don't like making money off of people, you say, well, let me ask you this. Do you like helping people? And usually they're going to say yes. If they say yes, you say, awesome. Well, listen, that's really what our business is about. I mean, most people are going to live the same lives, and they're not going to ever have a chance to achieve financial freedom. And by helping someone and at least offering the opportunity, then you have the opportunity to help people and ultimately change people's lives. I mean, our company has done this, and talk about the success stories within your company. And if they like helping people, they should love this. Number 4, let me ask you this. Are you mad or glad that movie theaters make money off of you? So you go out to a movie, you have a great time, realize the movie theater just made money off of you. So you may make money, you may make an override on someone's commissions, but you're helping them, and they'll be glad that you're making money off of them, because if it weren't for you, they wouldn't have the opportunity. Does that make sense? Okay. Number 5, is what you really mean is you don't like selling people. In some cases, that's the real objection. They just don't like selling. And so you go back to the objections for I'm not a salesperson. Again, at the end of the webinar, I'm going to give you the downloads, and so you can go back and reference that. 4 ways to overcome I want to do my research. Number one is the 3-step framework, feel, felt, found. And then just asking them, hey, what kind of research do you need? And usually they don't know. They want to go search Google. And you can tell them that. I say, listen, I've been doing this long enough to realize that I want to do my research is really just kind of like meaning I want to go Google and see what comes up. And just like anything, I mean, you can Google the Boy Scouts of America and you can find places where they say the Boy Scouts are a scam. You can also find places where it's awesome. Same thing's going to be true with network marketing. Same thing's going to be true with our company. You're going to find people who love it, people who don't love it. Here's what I realized is the person who showed me this to them, I trusted them. And so that was all the research that I needed. And I got started, and thank goodness I did. Next thing is you can give the company credibility or the leadership credibility. So realize they don't know what they need to research. So you tell them. It's basically saying, listen, what do you need to research? What kind of research do you need? And they're not going to know. They tell you whatever. And you say, listen, here's what I know. When I got started, I did it because I trusted the person. What I found out even more is the company has won this award and this award. They've been in business this long. We do this much revenue. The leaders in our company have done this and this and this. We have these people who have high credibility with the company. And so, listen, I don't want you to procrastinate for the sake of procrastinating. My recommendation is trust me, trust the company, and realize that we've got a solid opportunity that if you're coachable and teachable, I'll help you succeed. Sound good? Awesome. Now, you're not always going to be able to close someone. They're going to say, I still want to do my research, and they just are going to do what they do. So listen, these are the primary and secondary objections. There may be a handful of others, but with what I've equipped you with so far, you can overcome virtually any objection that comes up. You're going to want to download the PDF and the slides. You're going to want to review that information because it will make you masterful when it comes to overcoming objections. Now, there's really 7 key skills in network marketing that if you want to earn a full-time income, if you want to become a top earner, you need to master these 7 key skills. What are they? Number 1, it's generating leads. Obviously, you have people that you know and you want to talk to them, you want to make a list and all that, but everyone runs out of those. And my question to you is, which list is bigger? Is it the list of people you know or you don't know? Obviously that you don't know. And so you need to become masterful at finding people to talk to. Number 2 is inviting people to see your presentation. Number 3 is presenting. Number 4 is closing. Number 5 is getting new reps started. Number 6 is promoting events. And then number 7 is actually being a trainer yourself. So these are the skills that you want to master. And as promised, here is the download for the transcript and the slides of the presentation here. Go to mattmorris.com/overcome. You can download that. Thank you so much for watching.